Absolutely.
Right, right.
I feel whatever you have shared is like gold, is worth its weight in gold, because even we at Indie Football Podcast, we are very committed to trying to do something that takes Indian football to a better position. We are not putting a target to it yet. So
Absolutely.
we will give you a brief overview of how we are beginning to try to understand in terms of how we can add value. So during my masters in sports education, and me and Anukarsh, of course, I think out of these 88 episodes, majority of them have been football conversations on the Premier League and international football. But I think the number is now close to 30 when we have
Uh,
guests with whom we have spoken on Indian football. And one of the big issues facing Indian football is the monetization. It's difficult to bring in money. You mentioned that uh, banks were empty when you went to certain roles, certain positions, but when you went out, there was a lot of money there. So for us right now, when we think that if you want to help the Indian football scenario right now, we would want to become an organization that is able to give them revenue generating streams. So through that, it can be maybe an intellectual property development or a marketing objective which helps them grow closer to whatever they want to do. Why I'm saying all this is because I want to now, the next conversation is slightly shifting towards international football, but the focus of international football on Indian market. What I mean by that is, sir, you might know that GISB organizes certain study trips to the UK at the end, because Premier League hosts
mm,
them. And during our trip over there, and of course, Anukar sir has heard this many times, but of course, we'll repeat, because
mm,
Premier League did mention that India is a massive international market for them. All right. Now, there is an aspect of course, Indian football fans who are fans of Premier League clubs, fans of international clubs, but this renewed interest of leagues like Premier League, Champions League, to an extent even La Liga, if they want to come and invest in a certain fan group or a certain section that they think will help their brand value, do you think there is a space where we can have some money for the betterment of Indian football, or you think it's a separate entity in itself, that Premier League fans coming, sorry, Premier League clubs coming, doing something for their Indian fans? I hope you're getting the direction in which I'm taking. While we might say that yes, it is okay for Premier League fans to invest in Indian fans, but do you think maybe like for example, an exaggerated example would be them putting an academy over here, which goes on for 10, 15 years, right? We know what happened with the Barca academy. It got shut down. So do you
Even
think
the DSK Shivajians one.
yeah, like the DSK
Huh.
Shivajins. So, do you think, sir, this interest of international leagues in Indian market can somehow improve Indian football's economic situation in a way, or do you feel think कि नहीं ये नहीं हो सकता है? Academy, it got shut down. So, do you
Even
think
the DSK Shivajians one.
yeah, like the DSK
Huh.
Shivajins. So, do you think, sir, this interest of international leagues in Indian market can somehow improve Indian football's economic situation in a way, or do you feel think कि नहीं ये नहीं हो सकता है?
See, like, Premier League, maybe since the 90s,
Yeah,
being part of ESPN, they have launched many initiatives to
yeah,
connect with fans from India, and that
yeah,
has grown. No doubt, there is a great following for Premier League clubs in India, and
yeah,
the Premier League itself does, few initiatives, and also Premier League is also is collaborating with Indian Super League,
yeah,
and they also are trying to build capacity of the Indian Super League clubs, and then the teams, which youth teams go and play in the with Premier League clubs, is again part of that initiative. So
yeah,
therefore, some funding is taking place that way. But then, see, the Premier League clubs or any clubs, based on my last 25 years of closely following the international football and these clubs, what I have experienced is that all of them they want India's money. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Except say Bayern Munich, they tried something different. Rest, all of them, they were looking for the commercial revenue from India. Yeah, either
Okay.
as partner or they giving licenses to Indians for running their soccer schools or some other initiatives. So that is where things have not worked because so yeah, some of them gone and invested, say Venky's and all, bought Blackburn Rovers, all that, maybe they got interested because of being the Premier League brand that they connected well with India. But then overall, I don't think the Premier League clubs have gained commercially from India that way what they were expecting. So therefore,
Oh,
they must focus, they more focus on China, Southeast Asia, that way than India these days. That's a fact. But then,
fair enough.
I don't think, see, they will invest anything, say, creating an academy because it doesn't
Mm,
fit. Yeah, it
Yeah.
is the clubs which should be looking towards India, like whether we can create a Mohammad Salah kind of a story around where the Egypt got the Africa side of the things because of the whole the number of players playing from Africa in the Premier League. But until unless our Indian,
Yeah.
playing in Premier League,
Makes sense.
we will not be, coming out with that kind of energy, and our brands will not be responding until we see a greater energy from India.
makes
Yeah.
sense.
To see the ratings and all is still not that significant. Yeah, the numbers are not, because see again, in India everything is compared with IPL and cricket. That's again
Yeah.
unfortunate part, and the
Yeah,
brands
yeah.
only look into
Yes, sir.
those data. They don't compare the global data,
Mm,
unfortunately, and that is where the
yeah,
advertisers push. That's where the broadcasters push. All that. So this is where there are not enough studies as well. So data is again a problem in Indian broadcasting or sponsorship. There are no where you can really see comparisons uh, outside cricket. Yeah,
Yeah.
like, if you
makes
have
sense.
invested X in kabaddi in a certain level, football in a certain level, hockey in a certain level, or
Mm,
a tennis in a certain level, what is that you're gaining? Yeah, whether the outcome, say where in IPL there are 80 brands competing to get that spot,
Yeah.
or where in football you have only five brands getting the limelight, whether these five brands getting higher value than those in the queue in IPL below 40. Yeah,
Yeah.
and the investment is far higher there compared to football or other sport, but the data doesn't share anything, unfortunately.
yeah,
So we have a huge gap, in terms of, say, when we say education, the education is here also being is very lacking, because there is not no data, no study, no report, no review comes out which kind of gives that comparison between non-cricket sport. Yeah, and that is
yeah,
where the brands are not you know looking towards, though low investment, maybe they will have high returns compared to what they invest very high in some other sport. So
Yeah.
that's again the data, because see,
right.
India is predominantly a one sport nation,
Correct.
commercially. Yeah,
Yeah.
commercially.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but otherwise it is not. Commercially it is, unfortunately. But that's again, it's all, like few broadcasters there who are, fully focused in one sport, and that is where the whole understanding and the knowledge base is developed. Other side, there is nothing. And
Mm.
but digitally, see, that is where the opportunities are now, with digital footprint growing. Yeah, therefore the objectivity of data is going to play an important role. But then, somebody has to really do hard work to bring all those data into the forefront,
Hmm.
where the brands see real value in aligning with football, at a local level, at a regional level, at a national level. What
Yeah.
is that they are going to get out of? Because see, the energy what comes out of football fan, it is far higher. See, per capita energy, what I would say,
Yeah.
per capita energy of a football fan is higher than any other sport in India. Yeah,
Makes
and
sense.
that we can really, but unfortunately, nobody is
Mm.
talking about it. So that requires, data, real data.
Absolutely.
It
How,
makes sense.
like, and this is where I think, you guys can focus to bring about this, so then you can create something, demand for your own self, and that can be good, where even the Premier League clubs can see value in it. Yeah, and and uh, and that is where, see, to answer to your question, we need to have different strategies. It cannot work. The Premier League clubs have not succeeded, and therefore, their efforts have gone down. Their efforts are not that high as they were, 10 years, 15 years back with
Yeah.
Indian
Makes
market.
sense.
Yeah,
Fair.
and we need to really look into different way of working, but there are enough opportunities for them. But then they also have to look very differently. But then we need to give the solution, because they will not
Hmm.
look for solution, because they have other market to go and gain. Because their gain, what they are looking is commercial gain. That's all. They
Yeah.
don't care, whether you become, top 50 nation in the world in football, or you have, some good football environment.
Yeah.
For them is their club, what they can get on and off the pitch at the end.
All right. Sir, do you think that, like, I'll come to a more positive part of Indian football.
Yeah.
Now, my question has two parts. Do you think Sunil Chhetri's legacy is a perfect example that India, the reason I'm asking you this question is that I saw a tweet from you, which made a lot of sense, in which you had said that India has fallen two more places, and that Indian football is kind of going down in terms of the rankings and all, and things need to be improved. So, do you think Sunil Chhetri's legacy is a perfect example of how India is an elite football fan centric country, but not a footballing nation as such at this point of time? That even a player who has inspired so many has not been able to maybe inspire players to maybe come from their homes and start playing it at an elite level. And after you have done answering that, after you're done answering do tell us a bit about Sunil Chetri, the person, because he recently retired, and tell us a bit about him. Just to end the podcast on a more positive note, and of course, Boypan can add.
No, see, it's a very good question, no doubt. The thing is that, see, we are a, more football watching nation. No doubt, we also playing, but then when it comes to elite and level, we are far behind. That's the, the scenario it is, because elite level, the gap is huge. See, we have 300 million people minimum who follow football. It is
Yeah.
it is a population of Indonesia, and which is, the, like, in China, there may not be this many people who follow football, may not be. So therefore, to have this many, wow, you can do a lot of things easily. But then uh, we are some way wrong. We are not able to bring everyone together to really showcase that in a 1.4 billion people, this 300 million exist which follow football. Yeah, though maybe they follow international football, but the positive part is they follow football. Yeah, and
Yeah,
yeah, and definitely, that is where our strengths are. And if we are able to crack that part, and create an environment where investment will not be a problem, because it will open a floodgate of investment, because that's the story. That's where the brands are looking for, where they can really connect with this many people. Why not? But unfortunately, see, the Indian football has let itself down
mm,
by missing so many buses and flights, what I can say, because we had so many opportunities where we could have taken baby steps to reach to
yeah,
a significant level of voice, yeah, because this voice matters, yeah. When East Bengal Mohan Bagan plays, twice, thrice a year, we see that environment. But then, unfortunately, it dies down very fast. Within 48 hours, everything ends. But then,
yeah,
who is at the problem? See, these are very, rare things which happens. So rare things cannot change things, yeah, permanently, because brands are looking for like a weekly energy of this level, and that's where they can get the value out of their investment. And
mm,
we, in football ecosystem who are in decision making position, we need to really take things take this and multiply those voices and bring about you know positivity around, and
yeah,
that way we can really be. See, and yeah, and coming to Sunil Chetri, he's a exceptional human being and a player, because what he has done, for himself and for India is incredible. It is not
mm,
easy. Say people can say whatever, but then scoring those many goals, and playing till that age, where 9.9% will retire,
Yeah.
but
yeah,
he still continued to play and perform and deliver for India. Many
mm,
matches we have done won because of him. His leadership, his contribution, and it we need to give it to him. It is not because of the system, uh, but his own system. It is his own system which made him what he is. Yeah, if it was system, then we could have seen many Sunil Chetris there, and by that way Sunil Chetri could have been even better than what he was,
Yeah.
and that is the unfortunate part. So therefore, it's not easy for Sunil Chetri to deliver that much in our
mm,
football situation. Yeah, to remain motivated, to be disciplined and be remain focused, and when you are leading by your own self, and that way for more than 15 years, it's not easy for any player, because you have to sacrifice on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, so many
yeah,
things, yeah. And because then only you can perform at to a consistent level, yeah. And
mm,
that is his professionalism, his discipline, and his definitely heredity as well, because his father, if you meet him, he still is very fit, yeah. And therefore he got a right kind of genes with him, which really. But then at the end, genes, a lot of people have got. But
yeah,
then at the end, how you manipulate that genes to perform to a level, at a consistent with a with consistency is very
Mm.
important. Therefore, what he has done, salute to him.
Yeah,
It's incredible, and I don't think we can thank him enough because he has carried Indian football along, on his shoulder for long, and now there's a huge gap. See, the way we have performed, in his absence,
yeah,
now we are, from 99 to now 126 today. I don't know what will happen when we'll play on 9th of October in Vietnam against Vietnam, and then we will play Lebanon on the 12th. So there are two games coming next month in the international window. That's going to be crucial. And hope, we kind of get back to winning ways, which is very important. Otherwise, we will be on a very, very long haul of negative, what do you say, result, and that
yeah,
doesn't help. Yeah. So,
absolutely.
what we let's hope we soon come back to that positive direction where fans will see a lot of positivity in with the national team moving forward, and there will be a lot of significant decisions taken by the federation and the stakeholders to build positivity around football, and that way I see a lot of potential
Absolutely.
that we can really get to a positive direction because we have blessed with people who are following football blindly, and that is the I make a sincere request to all of them that pray for Indian football to come back to a track of positive direction, and we can really see that Indian football can grow to that direction, and we will reach one day there where we can really celebrate in that big way, like every other nation who really follows football in a big way and can truly turn from a football watching nation to a really a football what do you
Like
say
a powerhouse,
mad
right?
nation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, powerhouse definitely, powerhouse definitely. We were powerhouse in Asia,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
yeah, the
But
we
I
can
think,
definitely see that happening. Yeah,
yeah, I think that's
I'm
been a,
confident. I'm confident. Yeah,
yeah, of course, it's the optimism of people like you, and to a large extent even us, who believe that there is a bright future ahead for India. But thank you, Shaji sir, for taking out the time. We are almost closing on in the hour mark, and it was deeply insightful. And while you were talking about this jersey that I've got was from Sunil Chetri's last match in
oh,
June in
great.
Kolkata, where our most of our podcast team had traveled to Kolkata for that iconic match. And of course, me and Anukash often talk about probably converting all our conversations on the podcast, now 88 of them, into a book someday. And if we do that, I think what you have shared today gives us a lot of food for thought for that book. And I'm sure people who would hear it, listen to it, will find a lot of value. Thank you, sir. Anukash sir, you can share closing thoughts.
Yeah, yeah. First, like before we end this podcast, thank you, sir, for taking out the time. I know this episode had been a long time coming because of
Yeah,
scheduling issues and a lot of other things, but I'm glad we could, get it done. Just something from our side. Usually we have a longer quiz round, but this episode in itself has been really long, and Doipan is gonna give me a bit of a scolding after this episode. So I'll just ask you just a couple of questions, and we'll end the podcast. One is that who was the first Indian footballer? It's a quiz now. Who was the first Indian footballer to get a Padma Shri?
Oh, that's there are so many in the list, but
Yeah.
I think it was say Chunni Goswami. I think.
No, no, no.
Uh,
It was
then
PK Banerjee. You were close. You were
oh,
very
PK.
close.
Yeah,
Huh,
yeah,
huh.
PK
Yeah,
Banerjee. Okay. Yeah,
But yeah,
because my confusion was between them only. Because, my thinking was like he being the captain of 1962,
yeah,
yeah.
he got the Padma Shri first. Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
But you
I
got very close. Which Indian footballer was named as the Indian Pele? This is an easy one because I think you might know the answer.
Vijayan.
Yeah, right.
So I think the last few times when Anukash asked these questions to our earlier guests, nobody really got the answers, and then
Yeah.
we were, and that's not the best parting thought for us. So we this time I think. Thank God Anukash has got us questions that you were able to answer. Otherwise, we would have kept asking you till the time you would have answered a question.
Yeah.
But thank you,
Hmm.
sir. We it has been an honor to have you with us at the Indie Football Podcast. We are on a WhatsApp group together, so maybe we would keep conversing over there regarding important issues. To all our listeners and viewers, thank you for tuning in. Do follow us on our social media, and until next time, it's good night. Take care.
All the best.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
thank you, sir.